Hello everyone, this is Maria Laude at LibLime, a division of PTFS, and I'm happy to take a few minutes of your time today to show you about printing labels within LibLime Koha. Once you're logged into LibLime Koha under the Tools menu, you should see an option on the left-hand side to create labels, Label Creator. Once you choose Label Creator, there are actually three parts that make up labels: layouts, templates, and profiles. I'll start with the last one. A profile is just a definition of the printer that you're going to use. You can call it something very generic, or you can actually give it the model number of the printer that is attached to your personal computer. The templates are a little bit complicated because these have to do with the actual dimensions of both the label and the label stock that you're using. And if you notice, there are many different ones, but if I were to look at the first one, which is an Avery 5160, the reason I say this is a little bit complicated is because you have to actually get out your ruler and measure these. Even though there are some that are pre-delivered with LibLime Koha, you still want to double check these with a ruler, and you might find it's a little bit easier to measure if you change your units from US inches to millimeters or centimeters. When Koha goes to print labels, Koha will print it as a PDF, so you may even want to consider using postscript points, although then you get into the whole business of converting inches or millimeters to postscript points. So, word to the wise, you may want to stick with something that you can readily measure with your ruler, like millimeters or centimeters. The template will ask you to define both the page height and width as well as the label height and width. And on the right-hand side, how many labels make up your label stock, how many columns across, and how many rows. Once you've done both the printer profile and the template, then the easiest part of setting up the labels is the layout. The layout contains the content of what you actually want to print. If all you're wanting to print is a call number, I've chosen one here that's a test call number. Then there are several pieces that make up the layout, one of which is the barcode type, which you can set by default to code 39. The other is the layout type. The layout type has to do with what type of information we're printing. Are we printing bibliographic data, hence biblio? Are we printing both the barcode and bibliographic data? Are we printing the bibliographic data and the barcode? Are we alternating, or are we printing just a barcode? If we're wanting to print spine labels, that's bibliographic data. And lucky for us, all we need to do is choose that we are going to be printing the item call number field. If you wanted to print more than just a call number, there is certainly an option to select list fields, and then you could enter in the field names that you would like to print. Word to the wise in this regard, these are mark fields, so if you're entering mark data, you can use, as the example shows, 050A in single quotes. If you're wanting to print item level data, remember items are stored in the 952 in Koha, and we need to know the column name from the items table. That's why you see item call number, because even though call number is stored as a 952 subfield, we need to tell it the actual column name out of the items table. Once that's done, then within LibLime Koha, you do have an option for splitting your call numbers. So there are four choices: whether you want to just print your call numbers all in one line, whether you want to split with a Library of Congress breaking, a Dewey Decimal breaking, or even a custom expression that you can test. Finally, at the bottom of the screen, it's always a good idea to select Draw Guide Boxes, and that way you can see how your labels might line up on screen when you display them. And you can also choose your own font and font size from a predetermined list, and you can save that and actually print to use that when you print your labels. Finally, we're ready to actually go. We create a batch of labels, and when we create a batch of labels, I could go ahead and just create a new batch. And when I do so, within LibLime Koha, you have several options for creating batches. Some libraries like to do all their processing first and then print their spine labels at the very end. Other libraries have already put barcodes on their materials, and they want to print spine labels by calling up the barcodes. LibLime Koha does offer you the option. I have a selection box where I can scan in or enter in my barcodes one at a time, or I can click the Add Items button and decide how I want to add items to my batch. There are several options available to us. Most of you would not want to do a title search because then you're doing one by one by one. So I would think that you may find the acquisition dates useful. We can look for materials that have been added since a particular date and before a particular date. Once I do so, LibLime Koha will retrieve a set of items for me, and then I can choose which of the items from my results set I might like to add to my label batch. If I wanted to select everything from a particular page, I could do so and add those items to my batch. Then the final piece is to export the batch. I click Export Batch, and I'm now asked to choose which template I'm going to be using and which layout I'm going to be using. And then, as I mentioned earlier, when I do the export, Koha will attempt to export it as a PDF. You also have a CSV and an XML in case you may be interested in those, but I'm going to choose PDF. And then I will go ahead and open up my PDF and see my beautiful spine label batch that appears on screen. Thank you for listening, and if you would like more information about LibLime Koha, please do contact LibLime at koha.org or liblime.com.